Hello friends, Kimberly Denise here, tuning in on this beautiful Friday, I believe. Happy Friday, everybody. Just came on to chat, see if anybody has questions about starting their microdosing journey, if you have questions about microdosing in general. So I also want to give some updates because I'm doing some changes in how I create my live content. So originally I was doing, hold on, I gotta put on a different song. I thought I could put on this. Does anybody else out there like Rufus do soul? Am I the only one? But I can't do it while I can't play it while I'm talking because it's like distracting. Hold on, I'll put on my hands. Here we go. Okay, this is a nice one. Of course, I gotta play an ad first. Yay! Yeah, so drop your questions. And actually, okay, you can put them in the, if you already put them in the comment section. Hello. Wake up, brain. Put them in this little question mark bubble at the bottom if you can see that. That way it just stays organized. And I can answer. I'll be live here for maybe like 10-15 minutes and I'll answer as many questions as I can. And I wanted to share, like I said, some updates because so I've been doing this series called Build a Buddha Brain with me. Some of you may have tuned into that because I wanted to share the book Just One Thing with you guys. And I still want to share that, but is there anybody out there that follows human design? So I not recently, maybe like a year ago, started getting into human design. And I didn't get too deep into it, but I got deep enough to know, like, okay, I'm a manifesting generator. That's what my design is. And I learned about myself that the reason why, and before I discovered my human design, I thought that I was somebody who just couldn't finish projects. And I thought that I had a problem with not completing things. And maybe I did a little bit, but it was really coming from a place of, when you're a manifesting generator, you want to always be like, you're doing something new or you're doing multiple things at a time, and the newness is what really like makes you feel alive and makes you push forward, and you're always getting ideas and you're always wanting to, oh yes, and you have a lot of energy to put in a lot of different places. And I think that works well for me as a mom and as an entrepreneur and as somebody who does multiple things. So I was like learning about myself and learning how like I operate. And so it's been very helpful to me and helpful for me to be more aware of like, okay, I have to, if I'm going to do these various different projects, I have to make sure that I complete this one and still be able to like spread my energy around. But anyway, so I committed to doing this, reading this book to you guys, and I'm still going to do it, but I'm going to do it differently. So I was originally doing it Monday, Wednesday, Friday, coming live. Monday in the beginning of the day, and then Wednesday in the evenings. I have a class at the beginning of the day on Wednesdays, and then coming live Friday in the beginning of the day. And I still want to do lives like that, but I want to split it up. So what I decided was, and this is how I think it's going to be right now, and if I change it, then I change it, right? Like you could change anything that you ever want to change. Like you can, when you're an entrepreneur, you can there's no actual rules as to how you have to do things. You can just do them how you want to do them, how you're inspired to do them. Like that's one of the coolest things about us being our own boss, right? And one of the things that I love, because I do like to change things up. So these past couple of times, like some things were getting in the way of me going live. If you're following my stories, you probably saw that. Like Nevaeh, my youngest daughter, who's special needs, like she needed me and was being very clingy and just these couple of things. And I was like, why is this happening? And then I figured out that the structure just wasn't how I wanted it to be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to still be going live Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, but Wednesday is going to be the specific, we're going to read that book, the Just One Thing, the mindfulness book. And then I think Fridays, I'll just come live like this and talk to you guys about microdosing and like share with you my latest findings and insights and things that are working for me or things that have been working for my students and clients and stuff like that. That way I can, because what I realized was I'm not really coming live to talk about microdosing if I'm just every Monday, Wednesday, Friday talking about this book only. Like the subject was coming up a little bit, but so I want to be able to spread my the value and the knowledge that I have across multiple things, right? So Friday's going to be microdosing day. And then I think Monday might be like money mindset, because that's something else that I really want to start talking about. The things that I've discovered over the past several years and really decade of me being an entrepreneur And so how to grow in that area. And then so Wednesdays will be the mindfulness day. So I think that's how it's going to go. So anyways, I'm here to talk to you guys about microdosing for a little bit. So I'm going to hop into questions. So if you have any questions at all about how to get started, or what are the benefits, or just whatever comes up, like what comes up for you when you think about like starting a microdosing protocol or practice for yourself. So we have a couple of questions. I'm going to scroll down here. How many? Okay, Aubrey. Maybe I could pin this. Can I pin that? Yeah, let me pin these as I do it. Okay, so the first question is, how many grams would you recommend to start with, and how often, please? So a microdose is really anything, it can be anything under a gram of dried, blended ground mushrooms, right? It's very different if you have raw mushrooms, if you grew them yourself. It's going to be very, very different. In fact, the very first time that I tried to do a microdose way back in 2020, I think it was, the beginning of 2020, and I mismeasured, and I took some mushrooms, which I thought, oh, this will be a microdose and I'm going to clean and I'm going to hang out or whatever. And it wasn't. It was my very first actual journey that I experienced, because it was not. And at the end of it, it was good and it was a great experience. But at first I was like, what is happening? Oh my God. Like I had a DMT experience in 2015, and I was like, I feel like this is the same thing happening again. And it was like 3 hours of very intense experience, sensual, visual, like everything, right? That was my very first time microdosing. So you do want to make sure that you are measuring accurately. You want to make sure, so first and foremost, you have to find a trusted source, right? That would be the first thing, is like make sure that you know someone locally, or you have a friend or someone that you, first of all, you have to trust them, right? When it comes to these online vendors and places and stuff like that, the best thing to do is find and form a relationship with someone, an influencer or a creator or a coach or somebody who either is a source or has a source, right? And that you trust that person, and like maybe you've talked with them face to face or in a voice message or something, because there's a lot of accounts, and even Shawal and I, like we've been ripped off before sourcing mushrooms back in the day through like Instagram accounts. You have to be very careful. So anything under a gram is considered a microdose, but for most people with the milder, not so strong strains, like a milder strain would be like a golden teacher. It's one of the most prevalent, popular strains, golden teacher. The most popular dose is 0.20. So if you're weighing on a scale, which you definitely want to have that, and make sure that if you're making your own capsules, you want to make sure that you're like weighing everything out accurately, and that you're doing that math to make sure each capsule is approximately to the closest decimal the dose that you want to do, right? But you want to start low, and you want to start as low as possible and increase from there, right? You don't want to go high, because that could turn you off. Like that you could take too high of a dose and then think, oh, this isn't for me, that was too much, or I felt irritable, or I felt anxious, or I felt this way or that way or whatever. So you don't want that to be your first thing. So you want to start very, very low. So if you're doing like a golden teacher, then it would be like 0.20. If you're doing something more potent, or like a penis envy variety, which I didn't name that, I know it's weird, or any other strain that are known to be more potent, then you might want to even start lower. Like my personal dose is 1/10. Like that's all that I need. That's all that works for me. And I work with a stronger strain, so that's just how it goes for me. And then from there, you know, if you have someone make capsules for you, or you order capsules or whatever, you can always find, so there's a time period where you're going to be looking for your perfect dose. So you're going to have your very first dose day, you're going to take the microdose, and then you're going to assess, you know, how did I feel, or what did I notice, and what came up for me, and you're going to have a lot of awareness that first day. And then you might, if you didn't really have, because here's the thing, right? So it's a little complicated at first, because a lot of people are like, well, I didn't feel anything, or they take the microdose and they think that it's going to be like something like cannabis, or it's going to be something like some other substance where like you're supposed to feel high, right? And you're not supposed to feel high. Like you're not supposed to take it and really notice anything other than your cognitive abilities are just changed a little bit. You're thinking, you're noticing, you are perceiving. So it's all about, it's more of that. And there's a lot of body things too, and there's a lot of emotion things, there's a lot of energetic things as well involved in the whole process. But I think knowing what to expect when you first start and when you first do a microdose is very important, because if you expect to like, oh, I'm gonna take this microdose because I'm gonna feel motivated and inspired to like get all these things done. Like that is very possible. You can experience that, and that's something that is very common, right? But sometimes it's not always that way. And so actually one of the things I wanted to talk about, maybe not today, but I'm like working on this post that talks about how I personally believe that microdoses are just as powerful if you're actually consistent with it and you do a full like cycle, like 12 weeks, you stick with it for 12 weeks or beyond, that it's just as powerful as a therapeutic dose, which would be, I don't know, like 2 grams and above, 2 to 5 grams, 5 grams. It's just as beneficial, but it's just spread out. The benefits are just spread out over time, if that makes any sense, right? Because when you have a very deep dose, you have realizations, you have, other than visuals, because you don't have any visuals when you're microdosing, there's nothing like that at all. You don't feel like you can do everything. You can do everything and better. Like you can drive, and probably even better because your visual acuity is improved, your focus is improved. So those are the things to look for. Like when you're expecting, what am I going to expect? You have more focus. Your vision might improve. Things might appear a little brighter, a little crisper. Nothing crazy, nothing like, oh my gosh, I'm seeing shapes or colors, nothing like that. You don't see anything. You're not hallucinating. You're not having any of that. It's just as if everything is sharper in regards to your being and the way that you are. One of the first things that I noticed was that, and make sure if questions come up for you, please drop them in the question box below, and I'll move on to the next question. I tend to ramble a little bit, but one of the things that I noticed at the beginning of my journey was that there was a space in between where I would get triggered in life, or like my children would do something, or my spouse would do something, or something would happen, and there was all of a sudden there was this space. It happens really quickly, so it's not like I'm sitting there like this and then something, but it's like a micro space is how I would describe it, where I'm able to now, I notice like, oh, I can think in a quick moment. It's fast, but it's not as fast as how I was reacting to things, right? So you might notice that you have certain reactions in life when stuff happens in your life, when your spouse does this, or your kids do that, or this happens at work, or this happens in your business, or somebody says something to you online, or even you're driving in your car and somebody, has road rage towards you. Like, how do you react to that? However you're reacting to life, you can learn to respond. So that was one of the first things that I noticed was, oh, I'm able to respond now. I'm able to think about this, what's happening. I'm able to think about what they said and choose what I want to say and how I want to respond to this person or to this situation. And that's so huge, right? Because that's how you live a truly mindful life, and you live a more creative life as a divine creator, because you're not just bouncing off of what's happening in life and having all these reactions. And our reactions, it's important to know that our reactions come from our past trauma or our past events, right? So we were trained by the shit that happened in life years and years ago or whatever, trained us to react in a certain way. And so if we're not getting the results that we want in life, we have to start to learn how to respond to life, so that way we don't have these knee-jerk reactions, as people would call them. And we create scenarios, and we create patterns, and we create things that just repeat themselves over and over and over again. So to summarize, I know I went off on a few tangents, but to summarize the answer to this question would be, you want to start very low as possible. If you're weighing your own mushrooms, you want to make sure that you weigh them on a scale, and you know exactly the amount that you're taking, or the source that you're getting from. You want to make sure that you communicate with them and say, hey, what are these, are these accurately measured? What is the dose per capsule? You want to know that. And then you just want to start low, and then it's really an experiment. Like, we're doing an experiment here on our mind, on our body, on our consciousness, and to go into it knowing that you're doing this experiment. You're kind of like becoming a volunteer for society. What is his name? James Fadiman, I believe. I'm pretty sure that's it. I get him, and I think I get him and Dennis McKenna and Paul Stamets. I get them all like mixed up sometimes. I don't know why. I'm pretty sure it's James Fadiman, though. He's one that does the research. But he calls them citizen scientists. We are all citizens of this world, this earth, this country, whichever country that you're in, right? And so if you're doing this and you are choosing to take this path and start this practice, you are becoming a scientist in a way. You're becoming an experimenter. You're making yourself a guinea pig, if you want to put it that way, right? But you're doing an experiment to see, is this something that's going to help you? Is it going to help you expand your consciousness, improve your mental health, improve your emotional regulation ability, and all of the things that are possible with this medicine. Okay, I'm going to pop that one off, and I'm going to see. Hello, Selena. Somebody says, I've only seen mushrooms and chocolate. Why? Well, I know that there's a lot of places that sell them in chocolate, maybe because it's more easily transportable or orderable, or some people might view that as like less obvious or risky, that it's like something that, you know, quote unquote, you're not supposed to be doing or whatever. I don't know. Edibles are like an easy way to transport things. Maybe that's why a lot of people do that. I do use chocolate bars sometimes, and I make them. Let's see, Derek CPTSD. I can relate to that. I have been overcoming some experiences in that as well. Hold on, I'm just scrolling through the comments and I'll get over here to this question bubble. Is it letting me? Oh, here we go. Roger, what's up? I got some elderberry coming your way, Roger. I have not forgot about you. If you're still here, thank you so much for your patience. All right. So Roger says, after microdosing for many months or years, should we take an extended break? So here's what my personal, just my opinion, right? And I think it's important for me to share too, like, everyone is sharing their opinion and their experience right now. There's not really any like hard science that says exactly this is how it is, or this is how it should be, and this is how you should do it, and this is the law or the rules or anything like that. We're kind of like I said, it's like the wild, wild west psychedelic space. We're out here doing our experiments and figuring out and reporting to each other and sharing with each other. And you know, in the future, there's probably gonna be more science. But anyways, it's really up to you. It's up to you. The times that I've definitely taken breaks, the times that I've done that, has been for no other reason other than like, I just kind of felt like, oh, okay, I'm just going to take a break for a little bit. And obviously, I mean, I got started in 2020. So 2024 is going to be my 4th year microdosing. And so the way that this is different from other things is that, so it's not like a supplement like your other mushrooms, like lion's mane and reishi and all that stuff. It does have many similar benefits to those, which they're nootropic mushrooms, and they're great for brain health and immune system and all that kind of stuff. Or like lion's mane's great for the neurogenesis, right? And pairing them together with the psilocybin mushrooms is really, really good for the brain. But this one is different. The psilocybin mushroom is different in that it works with us on so many levels. And that's why I talk about beyond mental health so much, is because it helps us to, it can help you to overcome the depression, right? It can help you to overcome the anxiety. That's what I got started first microdosing for, right? I was just hoping that I could stop feeling depressed, that I could want to get out of bed in the beginning of the day, that I could not feel dread as my first emotion, not feel anxiety as my first emotion that hit me the minute I opened my eyes, right? I wanted to be more patient. I wanted to, I was struggling with anger. You know, I was struggling with frustration and just all of these dense emotions. And so I just wanted to be happy again. I wanted to be passionate again about my business as an entrepreneur. I wanted to feel like I had a purpose again. I wanted to feel connected and in alignment again. And I didn't want to feel bad anymore. And I didn't realize that there was any benefit other than that, other than just like, okay, you take these mushrooms for mental health and then there you go, right? So one of the reasons that people might continue going is because maybe you're on a spiritual path. So if you're on a path where you feel like you're having a spiritual awakening, or maybe you've had a spiritual awakening in the past, and maybe you have, or maybe you haven't, dug deeper into, well, where am I being led on this spiritual journey? What are these spiritual practices that I want to develop in my own life? What is this thing? What is consciousness, and how does it operate? How does it work in me as a human being? And there's all these questions that we might have as humans, right? And so what I found is that mushrooms help us not only with our mental health, but they help us in a spiritual or energetic way. And if you're not a spiritual person, or you're not a religious person, I used to be a religious person. I'm no longer a religious person, but I'm a very spiritual person. And all that means to me is that there is a non-physical reality. There is a reality that we can't see or really perceive all the time. there is there's an aspect of us, of me, of you, that isn't physical, right? That is of some other kind of a nature, that is of a divine nature. Like when you look at nature itself and you look at the miracle of a human being forming in the womb of a woman, right? Maybe you're a mom like me, and maybe you've experienced that miracle and you just thought, I know when I was pregnant, I was thinking like, wow, like I don't even have to think about what's happening right now. I don't have to put conscious effort into forming the baby's lungs, the baby's digestion, the baby's brain, the baby's anything. There is a force and an intelligence in my body and in the baby, and it works together somehow in some kind of a plan, blueprint, where a human being can be formed automatically, right? And then we give birth to a child, a whole child, right? So I don't know if you've ever taken the time to like think about things around you, things in your environment, things in nature, how a plant grows and grows into a tree, and it goes from a seed to a full tree, and then a tree that's blossoming with fruit. You know, there's just so many different wonders around us. And if you're like me, you may have looked a little bit at a deeper level to that whole process and what is behind that. There's an intelligence, there's some kind of force. It's not seen. None of us have ever really seen with our physical eyes what is the force that grows the tree. What's the force that grows a baby in our womb? What is the force that does all these things? It just seems very intelligent. It's more intelligent than us, right? Because we haven't figured it out completely on what it is, right? So a lot of people would call that God, divine mind, spirit, source, universe, whatever you want to call it, right? So back to the mushrooms and microdosing and working with them in various amounts. Another thing that I believe too is that every single dose that you can take has benefits. It has lessons. It has something to give you, something to teach you. So if your microdose is like you're taking a 1/10 of a gram, right? That's your go-to, your microdose, your operational. I can go to work, I can be creative, I can do all my things, and that's what I use, right? But if you were to take a 1/2 of a gram one day and just be like, I want to experience this and see what this is like, there would be a benefit for you to do that. There would be some kind of some kind of a lesson you would learn about yourself, something you would learn about your body, something you would learn about something in your life that maybe you have a question about or whatever. There, at every level, there is a benefit. Some people take super high doses, right? And they have incredible experiences of being in other realms, other dimensions, meeting other entities, meeting other things, and just witnessing and seeing stuff that they can't even put into words, right? So the reason to continue on would be if you're looking to expand your consciousness, you're looking to become more creative. If you're somebody like a musician or you do some kind of art, there is no, like I personally believe, there's no limit to our creativity and how good we can get at the things that we're already great at or want to become great at, right? So you might be somebody who you use your mind to do or create something, or to be someone specific. Maybe you're a speaker or you're an author or whatever it is that you do. You can always grow. You can always learn more. You can always optimize yourself. You can always become better. So that would be the reason to continue on. And so what I found is over time, as your intuition increases, because that's another thing, is that the mushrooms increase your intuition. They tap you back into nature, but you're also, nature, you're not separate from nature. We are nature. We never really go out into nature. We do separate ourselves from nature by being in like houses, right? But we're a part of nature, right? And we're very intricately connected to nature. So by getting reconnected through the mushrooms to nature, it's like we're getting reconnected quite literally to a field of intelligence that helps us to optimize everything about ourselves. So mind, body, spirit, and then anything that we're doing on the physical plane in the earth realm that we're putting our minds to create or to do or to be or to have or whatever, it can help us to accelerate that, to optimize that, to become better at that. And so as your intuition increases, you'll know when it's time to take a bigger dose. You'll know when it's time over time to, it's time for me to do a ceremony. It's time for me to go and do a deeper dive with this medicine. It's time for me to just take a couple weeks off. It's time for me to, try a higher microdose or whatever. You're going to know over time what's good for you. And then also that trickles over into knowing what is good for you to eat and not eat, what's good for you to listen to and not listen to, what people are good for you to have in your life and are not. This all comes from our intuition, right? And so the mushrooms they're a facilitator, right, of growing our consciousness, expanding our consciousness, becoming more aware, raising our awareness, raising our level of being able to judge and perceive in our life what is good for us, what is not, and to take those steps to detach from the things that are no longer good and to start embracing the things that are the best for us. So to answer that question, it would be your intuition will let you know, but there's no rule on it. It's not like you absolutely have to. And the only reason, for example, too, and then I'll go to the next question, the only reason why people say to take a day off in between or to even take breaks sometimes is because there's a possible concern, this hasn't even been really proven in solid stone or anything like that, that some people might develop a tolerance. And so you don't want to be taking or working with a substance that you constantly have to take more and more and more, right? So that wouldn't be a good thing. So that's one of the reasons why some people do every other day, or they do 2 days on and take a break day, or they do 1 day on and take 2 break days, but really, I mean, you can do any schedule, you can do any protocol, you can stack any. To my knowledge, I don't know of any like herbs and things that would not go well. Some people find cannabis goes well, some people don't. You just have to find out for yourself with that. I personally wouldn't mix it with alcohol. Alcohol it's not the best substance for us to be putting in our body and especially in this day and time where there's so much spiritual energy increasing. It's something that we want to get away from ideally. If you're having an issue with that, the mushrooms can help you to stop going there or stop drinking too much if you're drinking too much, or just stop drinking altogether if that's something that you want to cut out of your life. So any addictions, any substances, any things that you no longer want to be consuming or working with, this can help you with the right intention and with the right integration and coaching, whether you're becoming your own coach or you find a mentor, you're finding a coach. Pairing it with personal development, spiritual development is a definite must. This is not something that you want. I always tell my clients to have the right expectation, like we already talked about a little bit, right? But to know that this is a journey to magnify you and what you're doing, right? So you definitely don't want to be doing nothing, right? You don't want to be just like taking a capsule and then staying exactly the same and expect something to change, right? So that's like, if we want a healthier body, we can't just. You might be able to like eat healthy food and you might, reduce your weight or become healthier a little bit, right? But you want to move your body, go to the gym, become stronger, have resistance, do things that are going to make you stronger purposefully, right? You want to challenge your body so it grows and it becomes stronger. That's the same thing with our mind. Same thing with our spirituality as well. We want to be doing things that are involving or expanding ourselves too. Chocolate has a huge activations with magic. Yeah, cacao specifically, in regards to the chocolate, cacao specifically, I know that in Mexican culture and probably other Mesoamerican cultures too, the mixture of cacao with mushrooms is a very traditional thing that they mix together, and we love like drinking cacao and like cacao ceremony type stuff, and then doing microdoses, or even a little bit of a higher dose with that. It's very nice. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to hop over to the question bubble. So I got 2 questions here. I'll answer these and then I'm going to hop off of here. Okay, I answered that question. Quicazo, feel free to message me. I do have connections. So he said that he's looking for golden teachers. So yeah, go ahead and shoot me a message if you want to talk about that. Let me see if there's any other questions. Somebody said that, hold on. Out here on earth says, yes, it's important to take a break to give the brain and body a chance to integrate. That's another thing too, is like, that's a great point. Let me pin that one. And we'll talk about this in the comment. So a lot of people don't understand, like, well, what is integration? What does that mean, right? So you're gaining, when you're utilizing these mushrooms, you're gaining access to information. You're gaining access to more energies. So for some people, depending on, it's different for every person, right? It depends on your metabolism, your biology, your microbiome, your mindset, what's happening in your life, your environment. There's so many factors that determines what kind of an experience you're going to have, even with microdoses, right? So you hear a lot about set and setting when you take a larger dose. Well, set and setting matters even with the micro amounts, because all of those things play a factor, right? And so integration is like, I always say, it's what you do between doses that is what's really going to cause you to have a transformation. And so it's what are the different things that you are doing to understand the emotions that are arising, right? Because that can happen. It can bring up traumas of the past, not in a way where, like, for example, if you have a deeper dose of mushrooms and you go on an actual journey, some people relive certain things that they went through, and in the moment it could be kind of stressful or traumatic or intense, right? But then it kind of gets rearranged in the mind and in the body and in the energy in a way where they come to peace with what happened, and they're able to heal from those traumas. And that's why people are able to come out of those deeper experiences feeling transformed or alleviated of the depression or alleviated of whatever it is that they were struggling with, because it literally rearranges the neurons in the mind, the circuitry in the mind, and then it rearranges our perception and the way that we believe things and the way that we do things, right? But she said to take it to the breaks. Another reason to take breaks would be to give the brain and body a chance to integrate, and that's so important. But guess what? You wouldn't know if you need that break unless you're tapped into your own intuition, right? So getting in touch with, are you on track with the practices that you are doing? Like, do you have somebody to talk to about the different realizations that you're having, or the information you're realizing, or the spiritual download? Like, some people call it spiritual downloads or whatever you might call it, but you're literally getting information from the universe that's going to be helpful for you, but being able to put it together is very important, right? So yeah, so you might feel like, oh, I need to take a week off, or I need to take a couple weeks off to really just think about these things, and not so much not so much a break for, it might not so much be a break for your body. I'm getting distracted because my children are coming. You guys getting ready to go? Yeah, I'm about to get off. But energetically, right? I mean, you might need a little of an energetic break, or a little bit of a spiritual break of like, wow, this is a lot of spiritual knowledge that I'm realizing, or this is a lot of so many. Here's one, right? So many different creative ideas are coming to me. I don't have enough time to do it. Like, sometimes I feel like that. I really do. Sometimes I feel like I'll have days where I like idea after idea after idea after idea comes through, and I'm like, whoa, okay, like almost like slow down. Oh my God. Like, I need to I'm writing it down. I'm telling Shawal or whatever. I'm organizing it somehow, or I'm writing in my journal or whatever. But I feel like literally I need to hire someone to help me implement all these, so many ideas. Sometimes creativity can flood in, right? Which is great. That's a great challenge to have, too many ideas, not enough time. So yeah, it could be various different things. But yes, breaks are beneficial. Like, only you will know if it's, for you to take a break, and when that is, what that looks like, right? There's no actual rules on when you have to do it, when you have to take a break. All right. So if you're watching the replay, I'm happy to answer your questions. So drop them below. Let me know what questions you have about getting started. What questions do you have about the benefits, the mental health benefits, the spiritual benefits, the mindfulness benefits, the relationship benefits, the entrepreneurial benefits, whatever you want to know. Let me know. Drop your questions below. I will hop back in here a little bit later into the replay, and if you have any questions and you drop them on the replay thread, I will be more than happy to answer them for you. And if you have any questions, feel free to shoot me a message. I get a lot of messages, but I do answer them, and most of the time I'm answering them personally. If my team is in there helping me answer the questions, it's usually they make themselves known, like, hey, this is Shawal. Hey, this is Sun Wukong. You want to say hello?
Hi.
Okay.
What about
Say,
me?
all right, say bye. Say have a great day. We're about to go to the park.
Have a great day. We're going to the green park.
We're going to the green park. Yes. All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in with me. I'll see you in the next video.
I'll see you.